I'm meeting with Gulnar Hasnain. We're going to discuss her acceptance of Bitcoin, and this is, and her opinions on cryptocurrency in general, and maybe, what's in the future for Greens, respected to young voters, etc. Okay, so tell us about yourself.
Okay, so well, I'm Gulnar, and I'm not a politician, so I'm not a career politician.
Okay.
I've worked in the private sector, in the public sector, and I worked for the Mayor of London's Economic Development Agency for 7 years, so under Ken and under Boris. And I was on the other side, so I had the Greens scrutinising the programmes that we did. So in a sense, I didn't really appreciate the value of the Green lobby and the Green group.
So what brought your attention to digital currencies, cryptocurrencies? What actually kind of got you into it?
So I have to confess, it was my husband who caught the Bitcoin bug, and he'd been involved. So we're older than most people. He'd been involved in mobile technology and mobile payments. Okay. He caught the Bitcoin bug, and I saw the potential of Bitcoin, particularly in the developing economies, in terms of payment and banking the unbanked, basically. And I just got interested and excited, and so I've just been involved through Coin Summit and T15B.
Okay, fair enough. What about the Green Party? How does it fund itself at the moment?
Yes, so the Green Party doesn't take. We don't have large donors. We don't take donations from big corporates, and we don't have any high wealth individuals donating to us. So we fund ourselves on membership. So the membership fee funds the running of the party, and just through donations. So the crowdfunding is an example of how we fund our campaigns. So we are small. We don't have big budgets, and just getting involved in politics and seeing this, it's incredible the amount that is spent just to keep democracy in power. I don't know. It's shocking. I'm astounded. So anyway.
What's kind of your proposed method, or what do you propose to do to raise awareness of Bitcoin, or not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies in general?
Well, I think through my campaigning, I am targeting a new sort of section of the community who never really understood Bitcoin. They've just seen what they've read in maybe the Daily Mail or the Guardian, which is quite negative. And I think just by talking about it, by accepting it, there's already debate that I thought I was the first to accept Bitcoin payments, but I wasn't. I am the first to accept Dogecoin and LazyTV, but not. And it was just interesting. So starting that dialogue, and I think every time, during the hustings, during my campaigning, the messages are the same. It's cryptocurrency is a way to challenge the current financial system, to provide an alternative for people who can't access just the normal bank account. And I think just everything I do, I will be reinforcing that message as the benefits of Bitcoin. It is a decentralized or digital currency, decentralized currency. It helps to bank the unbanked. And I think the blockchain technology, this is for the voting system. There could be, it's untested yet, but we could have true democratic voting across the world, and I think that's really exciting.
I agree. That's really
exciting. It's on the edge, and it's really, and just I am coming up, or I can see how it could work. So I'm now practically using Bitcoin to accept donations. Donations over a certain amount of money cannot be anonymous. They have to be checked. So that's an interesting challenge. All my donations have been small, so I haven't come across that problem, but it's interesting. So I am basically testing out how to do something like this.
Just a small tangent on something you mentioned, for the power of Bitcoin to provide, let's say, banking type facilities to those who don't have it at the moment. What do you think about the whole arena of the third world and what Bitcoin can do for that in that respect? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely. I just think, first of all, mobile phone and mobile technologies is quite exciting because a lot of the developing economies didn't have the infrastructure of putting in landlines.
You're quite correct. A lot have leapfrogged.
They leapfrogged in terms of access access to information and having a mobile phone. So everybody has a mobile phone, basically. At least 75% have access to an SMS phone. And so that gives a huge opportunity for people to receive, taking my phone out, but to receive the remittance economy is huge, to receive payments on their phone, and they could go to the mom and pop shops. That's a very American term, but the local shops who can accept and exchange digital currencies. So I know there's quite a lot of opportunity, and I just think not having to travel to a physical bank, not having to show documentation or laborious documentation just to hold your own money. I think it's revolutionary, and I think it's really exciting. And it's not just the developing economies. In London, you would be surprised at the level of deprivation here, and a lot of people cannot get a basic cash bank account from traditional banks, and so this just gives people just a different force. They're not tied to high fees for having the luxury of having a bank account.
Will the Green Party officially embrace Bitcoins and encourage the public to accept Bitcoin in their respective constituencies?
Well, the Green Party already supports local economy-based currency. So, for example, the Brixton pound. They're a big fan of the Brixton pound. They actively encourage the use of the Brixton pound. So, I think once greater awareness is raised on the potential of Bitcoin and other Dogecoin, Litecoin, various altcoins, I think it will become official policy.
How do you see the cryptocurrency revolution affecting the political spectrum?
It's this excitement, this energy of change, and change is possible. And people, so how I've seen, or my experience of the community has been this frustration with the banking system and the current financial system. And the community entrepreneurs have just done something about it. They're challenging it. It's a step in the right direction. Okay, we've got people, the media are saying, oh, it won't last, and it's marginal, but this is how change happens, and they've done something about it. And I think, and just my experience in the last week with the Dogecoin community has been so energizing for me, because across the world, people, they don't know about my policies, they don't know what I necessarily stand for, but they know that I'm standing for change and a challenge to the two-party system, and a challenge to power being centralized power being centralized within a few people.
Yeah, a few rich individuals.
Rich individuals, a few corporations. That's where the balance of power is at the moment. And I think it's a message. So I think not only through practical applications with just the banking the unbanked, saying that, but that will have a huge impact in terms of how people can access finance and the way they feel about themselves. Suddenly they don't feel as vulnerable. It's quite it is frustrating. It's freeing. No, it's freeing. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for people not to have bank accounts. I think this will be liberating for them. And I just think together we could learn, or democracy can learn, that it doesn't have to be this way, that there is an alternative. And I think that's what cryptocurrency or the movement can show politics. And I think there are cleverer ways that we can use the technology, and I'm excited about that. And I need to learn more about how the blockchain can transform. And I do want to learn about that, and I do want to, I think, if anything else, if everything fails, I think if we can just raise awareness of that will be really important.
I'm just interested. Do you envisage Labour or Conservatives ever accepting Bitcoin as officially as a donation tool?
You know what? I was surprised, but apparently a Conservative candidate has already accepted a Bitcoin donation last year, and the Pirate Party didn't. But you would expect a Pirate Party, but Johnny Bitcoin donated to Doncaster, and before he defected to UKIP.
But what do you think about like the party in total, the actual, the official donations, rather than just for individual constituents?
I think once they see, I have been astounded. So I raised 3/4 the value of, so through the traditional method I raised a certain amount. Through the Bitcoin method, it was 3/4 the amount in the same amount of time. That is really exciting. So all parties want funding, and I think once they see the power, I haven't even gone out there. I'm an unknown. This is just through the love that I've got all this from these donations. So I think once they see the power and the potential and the ease with which you can donate, I think they will. But maybe the Labour Party and the Conservative Party are used to getting big corporate donations, and so it can be difficult for them to track their donations.
I think that's another problem with democracy as well, to be honest.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or whatever.
So onto the Reddit, Dogecoin Reddit users question. Okay, so kind of
Tough question, let me say.
Reddit asks, why does Brighton, which is the only green controlled council, have such a low recycling rate? I think between 2013 and 2014 it was 25.8%.
Yes, that is a good question. Although Brighton is a green council, the balance of power is so Labour and Conservatives together can vote some of the policies, can outvote, they can veto things. They did that with austerity measures.
Okay.
So there's a shift of power. But I think the report that is referred to, if you look at the report, the recycling rates are lower, but the waste produced
Per household.
per household. So the reduction in waste is lower too. So it's better to reduce your waste than produce more waste and recycle more.
Okay.
So in that report, it's misleading. So there's actually a reduction in waste.
Okay.
Although there's a reduction in recycling, but if you've got less waste, then it's better. So there's a hierarchy. Reduce your waste before you.
Okay, no, that makes
increase your
sense.
recycling.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's the answer
I
there.
think you told really quite well. Okay, the Greens are a Eurosceptic party that seems to fight amongst themselves quite a lot. I'm just not sure if I personally trust them to run much. Your thoughts on this comment?
So I don't really know of any infighting. There's no leadership struggle. In fact, our former leader steps aside for a new leader to come through.
Okay.
There's no whipping system in the party, so it's quite progressive. Promotes freedom of thought. I'm just not aware of any infighting. And in terms of Europe, we're pushing for a referendum, yes, because that's what democracy is about.
Okay.
We are pro redressing the balance. There needs to be a look at the current system, but we are pro-Europe, and a lot of our younger voter base are pro-Europe. We're not anti-Europe.
Okay, all right, okay, no, fair enough. What were your actual policy ideas? I suppose what are your...
Yeah, so well, surprisingly, this is a big surprise to me because there are similarities between what the Green Party calls for and what the Bitcoin movement, or definitely, certainly the entrepreneurs that I have met are calling for. So smaller government, decentralization of power, and a shift of power away from the banks and the large corporates. So it's quite interesting that although the Bitcoin movement started from a libertarian movement, they're calling for similar ideas. So we are about, democracy should be for the people and the masses, not just for the interests of the few.
Okay.
London, and particularly Vauxhall, affordable housing, what is happening in London, it's crazy. You're getting a lot more houses built, and they're not affordable. They're being marketed to rich investors who are buying up 10, 20, and they're using them as investment assets. And the average house price in London now is £500,000. Affordable is defined as 85% of this So we're calling for affordable housing. There was a march for homes yesterday because what is happening is council homes, council estates, tenants are paying rent. They're meant to be paying, and this rent is being paid to housing associations. We're meant to maintain, and this is an example. In Vauxhall, in Brixton, they haven't been maintaining the houses over 10 years. They're now, beyond repair, and the council will sell off to developers who will develop these luxury flats.
Oh, with the poor doors, the poor entrances.
And rehouse people. Some people are being sent 10 miles out. So, people have lived in these places for 40 years. They've got families, schools. It's just, you can't just shift somebody. Some people are being sent up north, and that's just crazy. So I think affordable housing is a big campaign issue and a big issue for me. Living wage, the Green Party campaign. So within the London Assembly, some of the questions on Reddit, what can we achieve? The London Assembly already pushed for the GLA, so that's the Transport for London. That's the 5 million to push councils in London to give a minimum, a living wage for London, so people are not on the red line. Student fees, so I was a student a long time ago now, and I speak to, and I have cousins who are 13 or 14, and they are thinking about not going to university or taking up further education because they won't be able to afford it. They don't want to get into debt, and I think we're losing the point of education and university, because that's the place where you can discuss ideas, debate ideas. It's a unique opportunity to form your ideas and engage with people that you wouldn't meet in a job.
Yeah.
I find that sad.
And I agree, and I think it would make more sense, to have as many people going to university as possible, because, these makes them more efficient economic actors.
Yes.
So, it really seems, I don't know, like a weird kind of situation that we're in. It's like short-term savings.
It's short-term savings, and for people who don't want to go to university, that's fine. There should be more vocational work. There's nothing wrong with not going to university. I just think people should have the option.
Yeah, I don't think people should be deterred from university. I agree with you. So, do you have any message for the Dogecoin community, or is there any way that they can help you?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. I've been touched by the support. I just didn't think, it just started with one tweet and somebody asking me whether I accepted Dogecoin, and then suddenly it just went crazy, and I'm just amazed, and as I said earlier, I'm energized by this movement who wants to see change. So first of all, thank you, and how you can help me is just getting the message out, helping with fundraising, but getting the message out to. I just think there should be a different way of doing politics, and one shouldn't have to spend money to have a democracy. It's just I don't know. I just think please help get the message out. Help me get. If you haven't registered to vote. Get younger people voting. Get people out there just changing the system and vote for policies. I think we've moved away, or I personally think there is a shift away from identity politics, and there are more and more people like myself disillusioned with the current system, do not want to be defined by a party, but we want better things for ourselves, our families, our future, and politics to be, and democracy to be there for us all, not just the few. So please, community, keep doing what you're doing and just promote the message, and just any